you see what happens when you hand your bullpen more than a 1-run lead? Things tend to work out okay. I think here we're just really glad to be able to talk about a game where the Guardians made some mistakes and didn't play their best and still ended up getting a win. I think that's going to make everyone's blood pressure drop a little bit and don't have to run and find the antacids tonight. So enjoy this episode of Locked On Guardians like we will.
You are Locked On Guardians, your daily podcast on the Cleveland Guardians, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show. Over there is Justin. I am Jeff. I did almost say that in reverse, if you're curious why I paused there. It has been that type of week, but today's episode is brought to you by Birddogs. You'll love Birddogs. Go to birddogs.com/LockedOnMLB. When you enter the code LOCKEDON, they'll throw in a free custom Birddogs Yeti-style tumbler, as you can see on the screen right now. We have this was my question for you, Justin. Was this the sloppiest game of the year? Was this the ugliest game of the year? Is there one that was sloppier than this? It felt like one of the sloppiest recent games.
No, there's been worse. They have
defensive
errors.
Found
ways to lose.
They found ways to lose, but like this one was just one where it was just like so many bad defensive plays.
Well, if you want to combine Boston,
both sides.
Both sides just had some weird innings there. I mean, back-to-back innings where the defense just wasn't there and very just, mental mistakes. I don't know. It was ugly, but
as we've said, this is not a fundamentally sound team. They won today, but they showed why they are not a fundamentally sound team in this one.
5 combined errors. Yeah, that's pretty bad, I would say.
And like Josh Naylor's throw into second base, that was just a boneheaded throw.
And that should have been it's not an error and it didn't lead to a run.
And that's why errors are dumb, because like it's a net negative. Yes, nothing negative happened from it, but if you make a play like that, it's going to lead to negative outcomes. You're not getting that guy out at second. You just hold on to that ball. So it should be in something, but it's not.
Error? Yeah, it would have been his second error of the night. Yeah.
Just...
But hey, good for the one thing the Guardians did do well fundamentally was, I guess, run the base as well, even though I know Jimenez got thrown out stealing, but and he had a pretty bad night.
He had a night to forget. That's our first and last mention of Andres Jimenez in this show.
Yeah, 2 strikeouts, an error, and a
double play.
That's about as bad as it gets. But hey,
he also had the double play too, didn't he? And he hit in that double play.
Did he hit in the double play? He did. Yeah, him and Bell both in double plays tonight.
So, he had a double play, 2 Ks.
He's going to want to sleep that one off.
A bad defensive play too, right? So,
but that's all the negative. Well, that's not all the negative. We're going to get to.
Yeah, but they won. Like it wasn't pretty, but they took care of business. They were taking care of business and working overtime.
And you don't have to worry about the Josh Naylor thing as much. Like he is a better defender than the plays he made tonight. Usually, like he's not awful. He's made better. What is his? Just kidding. He's pretty bad. His out's above average or not? Is 94th percentile.
But
so he can play first base. The run or the throw he made to second base definitely pretty bad. But offensively, he gave you back more than he took away tonight with that error because an unearned run did score. But look, he had a fantastic night at the plate. He had 3 hits. I know the last one was a little soft blooper, but that double I know the double he hit the left field. Only had a 250 expected batting average or something like that. It wasn't great. Maybe Yoshida should have made that catch, but he hit that ball pretty hard for it being a curveball that he was kind of out in front on. He muscled it out there. That was pretty good to see. And overall had, like I said, 3 hits and 2 were pretty good. The first one he hit was I think smoked pretty hard down there. Yeah, it was that single 101 down the right field line that drove in a run early on. So that was good. Josh Naylor, though, since May 1st, Jeff, do you want to take a guess at some of these numbers, like who he's around offensively since May 1st?
Well, I mean, it's like from the thing I pulled up yesterday, he was second best on the team. He's been hitting well. I mean, I'm not going to put him on the Aaron Judge level of it, but
this is just first baseman since May 1st.
Matt Olson. Let's go with the guy that
Matt Olson has been good since May 1st, but not as good as Josh Naylor. You want to guess any more?
Nolan Jones. I'm kidding.
Hit a 408-foot home run that he's still running.
Tristan Cassis. He's having a great year at first base for Boston.
Actually, Tristan Cassis has been pretty good since May 1st, but no.
Which is frightening to think because he's still hitting under 200.
I know. He's actually been really Tristan Cassis has a 120 WRC plus since May 1st, but no, Josh Naylor is much better than him, actually. So keep going up. Who you got? What other names you want to throw at me?
Well, I know it's no one in the Central because the first base is kind of a waste.
Well, there is somebody in the Central who's been almost as good as Josh, who actually has been better than Josh Naylor over that stretch.
Is it Kirilloff? Kirilloff plays him first.
Kirilloff has been better than him, and Nick Prado has been better than him. But
I forgot about Prado. I'm being honest. I forgot that he was called up.
Yeah,
I would have thought Pasquantino is, even though he's a DH, not a first base, but I forgot about Prado.
Since May 1st, Josh Naylor has a 142 WRC plus. So he is ahead of Paul Goldschmidt, Pete Alonso, Anthony Rizzo, our guy Christian Walker, Nate Lowe, all those guys in that time. The only guys ahead of him are barely Nick Prado, Lamont Wade Jr. for, that's weird. Spencer Steer, who's not really a first baseman full time. Ryan Noda, who we do like. Kirilloff, Yandy Diaz, and Freddie Freeman. So a couple really good players.
Lamont Wade is the every other year guy. Like, look at his data. Terrible last year, the year before that. Like, there's just some guys who have that weird thing.
There is. And so Naylor has been on a tear lately. And since May 1st, 16% strikeout rate. He has an OPS almost of 900, 114, 124 142 WRC plus, I said. And against left-handers in that time, Jeff, he has faced 24 left-handers since May 1st. He has a 158 WRC plus. Now, that's 24 at plate appearances. We're not going to sit here and say, it's the smallest of sample sizes, but you want to know what? I don't recall Josh Naylor ever having a stretch that good against lefties in previous years, so I'll take it at the very least. Like, that's a nice sign to have. I really feel like Naylor is starting to turn a corner. I mean, he is now first in the team in offense at 110 overall.
Which isn't very hard to do. Let's be honest.
No, because Jose Ramirez had a late double there. That was a really nice piece of hitting by him. Hit the ball hard, so that was always encouraging. Yes, Josh Naylor officially though, highest OPS in the team at 783, which is both alarming and interesting. But we're gonna count it as good tonight because it was good for the Guardians, and Lord knows they needed something good. So good for him. And I don't know. I mean, like I said, Jimenez didn't have a great night, and Juan still. I'm not going to be okay. I guess Ahmed Rosario had a good night. I was going to say Juan still is having a very weird year.
No, it's not. He's not. He's sophomore slumping pretty hard. Like, he is just.
Yeah.
There's no other way to like. He is.
And of course, Ahmed Rosario doesn't the ball out of the infield twice, and he gets on base twice, which means he'll continue to play. Which
no, I mean, Quan's walking more, he's striking out more, but his power was not good. It's down, and then you just
he's not getting on base as much either. Yeah,
well, it's just his batting average is 40 points lower. Quan doesn't work as a 260 hitter. He's got to be close to that 300 hitter that he was a year ago. At 260, he's probably more of a backup. He's right now, and that's the interesting thing too, is he's had a negative defensive WAR, and I think he's got negative defensive runs saved. He has not been as good in the outfield. And again, it's a situation where it's okay to have the life outside of baseball, but Quan should have just been quiet about it because people are just going to keep every time. I'm like, wow, he's really regressed in like 3 different areas. Oh, that's right.
I mean, I'm not gonna. Again, I think a lot of this is just very reactionary. Like, if he was having a great year, everyone would say, "Oh, look at him, he's taking it easy." And
but then you don't need to. Baseball is a very hard game. You don't need to give people multiple reasons. And between some of the statements and then that weird video that he let leak out, it's not a good look for Quan so far this year. It's more what I'm getting at.
I'm not reading too hard into either of those things.
I'm saying you in this sport, you just don't want to give people reasons, right? You want to make it as easy as possible.
Who has worked his butt off is Tanner Bibee. He did not have a fantastic night.
He got hit hard all night, and somehow they did not have much to show for it. He had
a lot of ground balls hit right at guys. Yeah, they only had a 216 expected batting average as a team, so I don't know. I guess there's that, but no, they had a lot of
9 hard hits tonight. 9. Normally that leads to disaster.
Here you go. Again, we have said in this
launch angle.
This spot, yes, launch angle matters. Masataka Yoshida had 3 of the 4 hardest hit balls tonight, and only one for a base hit because they were all negative. He had a 107 ground out, a 108 ground out, and the 110 he hit was a base hit. But they were all negative launch angles. So guess what? That stuff matters. Like, I know people want to act like, hey, that doesn't matter. Like, it does. I'm sorry, it does. But Bibee was able to escape trouble, and this is one of those starts where I feel good about continuing to say he is a budding ace, because he didn't have his best stuff. He didn't miss bats. He had fastball command was an issue for him earlier. Fastball control was an issue for him early on, and he got through it. He didn't, there was no inning where things blew up. The inning that Josh Naylor had that error at first base with a run down and run scored, he came back and got the next out. He didn't melt. Did it cost him an inning? I don't know. Maybe they took him out of 90 pitches. Maybe he could have gone to another batter or two, but I think they lifted him at the right time, truthfully.
Yeah, I think they kind of learned the lesson. They're pulling early instead of late. Why don't we take our break, though, and then come back and dive into some more of the game experience, as well as talking about the Ace stuff and just the Bieber chatter that we heard around Twitter today. And as previously mentioned, we have Birddogs today. I am not wearing my Birddogs. I wore them the other day. I might try to wear some tomorrow as we're taking the kids to Elite Fitness. Maybe I shouldn't state that on the air, but we're going out. Here's what the free tumbler is that you get with yours. I like it. I use it very often, as one can see. And you're not getting the tumbler. You're getting the pants. The tumbler is just the bonus. But what's great about these pants? They are a stretch khaki short designed to fit slimmer, the thigh and leg, giving you a sculpted look. Look, they look good. They try to say that it's the man Lululemon here is what they are saying. They do the exact same thing, but fit way better. And they're just, listen, I am not a fashion person, but what I can tell you is they feel good. It's a comfortable pant. It's a comfortable short, and it is a fantastic product. I love my Birddogs. Birddogs, if you want to send us more, I would greatly appreciate that. Send us more. Go to birddogs.com/LockedOnMLB. Enter the promo code LockedOnMLB for that free steady Yeti style tumbler with your order. That's birddogs.com/LockedOnMLB for a free Yeti style tumbler. You don't want to take your Birddogs off. We promise you.
Guardians and Red Sox wrap up the 3-game series Thursday night. Search for the Guardians on your SiriusXM app to listen to the hometown call of Tom Hamilton and Jim Rosenhaus. Aaron Savali starting for the Guardians in that game. And for the Red Sox, it is still to be determined. I'm not sure what's going to happen. Corey Kluber was warming up in the 9th inning, by the way.
He was.
The 8th inning, so I don't know if he's pitching.
I was wondering if he's got a chance to be an opener tomorrow. Just for some comparison, we were talking about the hard hit stuff very quickly. So the 9 hard hits, the rest of the Guardians pitching staff had 2, and the Red Sox in total had 10. So it's a little bit playing a fire, but to go back to the point, it's like right now, I don't know about you, but I think I feel better with Bibee and Allen on the mound than I do Bieber.
I would agree. I've been saying it. We've been saying it. I've been saying it that I feel like Bibee is going to become this team's ace, and I was really interested to see how he would respond to a game where he didn't have his best stuff. And again, like I said, tonight was not his best stuff night, and to be able to get through it on those nights is really important. That's how you can tell a guy can really compete in this league and lead a pitching staff. Is can he go out there and can he throw his best? Can he get you 5 innings? Can he keep you in a chance to win the game? And he's done that most nights this year since he's come up. And some nights he's much better than this, obviously, because we've seen him much better than this. But if this is again what's a quote unquote not a great start for Tanner Bibee, not a great night for him, you will take that every time. And to be fair, Shane Bieber has had these nights as well. He has gone 5 or 6 innings, 7 innings, 2 strikeouts. And there's a lot of
This is a Shane Bieber outing. It's not like this is 100%.
Well,
he was Shane Bieber tonight.
That's the thing. So this is a tip for Shane Bieber this year. What Bibee did tonight is a typical Bieber outing at this point in his career where he's been this year. This is not the best Tanner Bibee outing. Like in the past, this would have been the same thing for Shane Bieber. We would have said the same thing about Bieber. Like, oh, this is a bad start for Bieber. You will take that. And in 2023, that is a normal start for Bieber for the most part, truthfully, as we've said in past shows. And now you're like, well, that's fine. That's kind of who he is right now. That's fine. And Bibee has continually pitched the way that we expect more from him. And if this is a bad start for him, that's going to be fine. It wasn't even bad. If this is an okay start for him, he's going to be just fine. I guess the question is with Bieber, are you going to get more? Because I think we both feel good about you're going to get more from Bibee than this most nights, but you may not get more than this for Bieber again.
Yeah, and it's just he can't miss bats. That's what it is. He has struck out more than 4 batters, which is a miserable amount of strikeouts twice all year. This is a guy who tied Randy Johnson for the most starts in a row, striking out 8 or more batters. It's one of the most incongruous.
Was that 2020?
No, because that went into 2021 as well, I believe. But I mean, he was still over 8 last year. Like his drop this year is just because 2020 wasn't enough starts. It was like 20 starts to get there to tie that record with Randy Johnson. But like it'd be one thing if he's like a decent strikeout guy but he was one of the best to the worst in baseball right now among starters.
This, by the way, was the least amount of strikeouts Bibee has had this year. He had that game against the Tigers where he just wasn't good. He had 4 walks, and he had 2 strikeouts. That was the last game he had that was kind of like this. But this was, so this was Bibee's second quote unquote worst outing of his career so far. He has not allowed more than 4 runs in any start, by the way. That game against the Tigers, he allowed 4 runs. Other than that, it has been 3 runs, 2 runs, or 1 run.
I mean, and then like I don't want to shortcut Logan Allen on it, who's been every bit as brilliant too. Like, they've both been brilliant, and it's just you can debate, and then the cop out in all of this might be it could be McKenzie if he comes back. When McKenzie's peaks, we have seen the peaks of McKenzie are as good as anyone on this team, and he's gotten better in his consistency. It's just getting out there, but like he might end up being the one. But it feels good right now, like relative to all things. When you're like, okay, so Shane Bieber is not as good as he used to be. He's probably this team's 4th best starter right now. And what you have the F WAR data for those who don't know. WAR takes everything, boils it down, and says what you're worth. And an average major leaguer is worth 2 wins by the end of the year. A replacement, basically a guy who's as good as a 0. Quad A type, is a 0. 6 is like an all-star. 8 is an MVP. When you're hitting double digits, you're Ohtani and Trout.
Yeah, even 4 and above is a borderline all-star, depending on your position. So if you can get to 4 or 4.5, you are like on that all-star edge. So yeah, Shane Bieber this year, 1.1 F WAR through 13 starts. Tanner Bibee now at 7 starts is at 1, and Logan Allen through 8 starts is at 1.1. So those guys have been every bit as good as Shane Bieber. And Tristan McKenzie, I mean, 1 start, almost half a win, 0.4.
Yeah.
In 1 start. That's how good he was in his 1 start. So if he pitches like that once or 2 more times, he may lap Bieber in 2 starts. Depends on how Bieber pitches the next couple starts too. But yeah, I mean, right. I mean, I hate to sit again, like you were saying this last night off the air. I don't think you said it when we were recording, but you said it is really silly for this team to be talking about the playoffs right now because of how they're playing and the record they have. But the Twins did lose, and they're 2.5 out. The division.
Twins, they played. They're not one of the teams that were.
No, they played tonight.
Okay.
They lost 2-1 to Houston to Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay had a walk-off. Randy Rosarina had a walk-off home run against the Twins. So they're back to 2.5 out. So I know it's ridiculous not talking about the playoffs right now, but like the Twins are in danger of falling below 500. They're 31-31.
They're exactly 500. This division is awful.
As much as we hate it, they're gonna hang around all year because this division is not going anywhere. And I hate sitting here saying like, oh, let's talk playoff rotation on June 7th when this team's not even 500. But no, you're right. Tristan McKenzie, as your number 1 starter right now, feels pretty good.
Yeah. Why don't we take
McKenzie and not good for Bieber.
Yeah. Why don't we take an early break here at this point in the show? Come back because I think the Shane Bieber chatter is going to go deep. And we also have 2 minor leaguers we got to talk about, at least in passing near the end of the show. Some not so good news, but I think let's take an early break right here.
Guardians and Red Sox 7:10. Sirius XM. Aaron Savali. Shane. I almost said Shane Bieber. Shane Bieber is not pitching for the Red Sox. Not yet, anyway. Maybe it's Corey Kluber. I don't know. We don't know. Aaron Savali is going for the Guardians 7:10. Search for the Guardians on your XM app. to listen to the call.
I just want to throw one other thing out there. If anyone's like, hey, you're deleting more comments, if you swear in your comments, it's getting deleted. I'm just going to, just in case you missed that, any swears.
And your tweets. If you reply to our tweets and you call people morons and tools regarding.
Oh, who did that happen to do today? Oh, that's right. Me.
Yeah. You don't need to call. Okay. If you disagree with our baseball opinions, that's fine. It's baseball. We don't care. I don't care. I don't know anything about baseball. I don't even know half of what most people know. I am just an idiot talking on the microphone, but I can call myself an idiot. But if you call me an idiot for my baseball opinions, you're going to get, you're going to get yelled at because it's a baseball opinion. Okay. We don't need to take it that seriously.
And then
if you, stuff.
If you, and I've posted about this before, if you're going to sit there and get into the name change stuff still, or all of that, then it's also deleted. Like, we're just done with that. It's been over a year.
It's June of 2023. Sorry.
I'm not wading into it. So I just want to kind of remind people of those two things. Sorry if that's too woke between not swearing and like, we got to move on, but I just wanted to address that. But okay, so if you listen to the show, we've talked about Shane Bieber just a little bit. And today was fascinating because Zach Meisel is great. And he wrote a piece about why the Guardians will probably look to trade using past history, Shane Bieber, and like what it could be. And Ken Rosenthal then I think they wrote separate articles and happened to find out they're working on it. But Ken Rosenthal wrote a piece that's almost refuting to a small degree. Like
I wasn't really refuting.
I mean, he's saying a trade's there, but like the fact is, Cleveland is not going to get as much value as they got for any of their previous pitcher trades. That's just the truth of it right now. And what we've talked about on this very show multiple times is he is not a top playoff guy. He is not a guy teams are going to go out of their way to pay for right now. Like, if you don't miss bats, your value in the postseason is extremely limited.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, missing bats in the playoffs is the name of the game, and any ball into play, puts pressure on the team.
And he's home run prone too. So like,
there is that. It's just, you don't know. The argument for Bieber's value is if you get him, you're getting him this year for a playoff run in for next year to be part of your staff. But the quote came in Ken Rosenthal's article from an anonymous executive, which I know some people took issue with, but it said that,
it's the same thing we've said on this show.
Right. You're not getting an impact guy. But let's also remember this too. When a GM or an executive gets anonymity to speak with a reporter like that for an opinion, let's not also act like he doesn't have his own agenda here. Okay. Remember, this stuff only gets leaked for one reason, right? It's to benefit somebody. This is what we said in the offseason. This is true of trade rumors. Okay. It can be both true that Bieber is struggling to miss bats right now, and he is not the pitcher he was last year at this point, and his value isn't the same as it was a year ago. And forget the fact that he's got one less year of control from last year, but let's not also act like that quote doesn't get out there to benefit somebody. It benefits to drive his trade value down. It doesn't.
I'll say there's also, there is the off chance, just having spent time around a few people who work in front offices, they like to talk crap. They like to talk down about guys. So it might not even be nefarious. It might just literally be like,
it still suppresses value when you do stuff like that.
But sometimes, to a degree, I mean, everyone knows who he is. Everyone knows what he is. I don't know if like anonymous GM hurts trade value as much as it's like, listen, this guy isn't good. Like, he is not special right now. You go look at his Savant page and you'd be like, oh, that, like, I mean, he is dark blue and everything. He is getting hit hard and he is not missing any bats. And what's good, he doesn't walk a lot of guys. His extension is good. His fastball.
Okay. Also, when you're looking, from a scouting perspective too, because there's two sides to this. You could say, okay, if the Guardians can't quote unquote fix Shane Bieber, and I don't want to be careful about how he's fixed because it's not like he's a bad pitcher. He's just not. He's a good pitcher. He's just not the ace.
He was one of the 10 best. He went from one of the 10 best pitchers in baseball to being a good 2 to 3. He might be more a 3 than a 2 right now. Right.
So the one side of this probably says if the Guardians can't quote unquote fix him and turn him back to what he was, nobody can. Right. But from another side of that is, hey, if this guy's value continues to be at a point where we can get him for less than we normally would have, do we see some things that we could help him with? Is there something you can look at from a scouting and development standpoint where, hey, We see this when we watch film of Bieber. We see him doing this. This is what the data says. This is what we think we could fix. So if you continue to keep his value where it is, a team thinks that they can get him for less, and they feel like they can fix him. Because look, teams do it all the time. Teams will look at guys and say, "Hey, we believe in our player development staff. We believe in our coaching staff. We can fix." Look what the Yankees do. Like, Jake Bauers is hitting dingers. I know he's not, great, but I mean, they help Gio Urshela. Look at the Rays have done with Yandy Diaz and Harold Ramirez.
But it's often more those guys. It's not the proven guys. It's not the guys who have hit the road bump after years. So he has the 4th worst K rate of any starter, and he is currently in line in terms of his K rate and his walk rate. This is the guys he matches up with: Kyle Gibson, Martin Perez, Patrick Corbin, Kyle Freeland, Ryan Nelson, Anthony DeScalfini, 53-year-old Zach Greinke, Trevor Williams. And all of these guys outside of Ryan Nelson have walk rates in the 2s and strikeout rates under 7. This is a bad group. He is Kyle Gibson and Martin Perez right now in terms of what you're getting from him. No one's trading much for that. And he's expensive. And he costs $10 million. I don't think Gibson or Perez,
that is definitely part of it.
Maybe because pitching is always expensive, but and you're going to have to pay him more than $10 million next year because arbitration never goes down. Gibson is getting $10 million, by the way, in his 1-year contract, but he is going to be, he's got the hardware that the Bieber is going to probably cost you at least 12, and this isn't going to be something where it's necessarily a down year because his ERA, even though all of his expected stats aren't good, and he's not missing bats, as of now, his ERA is solid. He's racking up innings. He's doing other things. There are reasons for concern, but a lot of times that arbitration stuff is not based off of advanced stats. So we'll see if it bounces. I don't think
it's allowed to be. I think there was you can't use StatCast data in your arguments. That was a rule, I think.
Probably.
And the TBA or something.
But yeah, he's at what? How many games start? He has started 13 starts. Last year he started 31. So he's almost halfway there. He's on pace for 2.2 WAR. Maybe he gets up to 2.5. That'd be less WAR than he got in 2020 and in 16 starts. He's just not the same guy. And when you look at the name value, you look at the fact is he's not going to be cheap in that final year of arbitration. You look at how much he costs now, and you look at that he has been declining every single year for 3 years. You're not getting much. You're not getting, people have come at me with teams treating, that Luis Castilla, 3 of your top 10 prospects. That's not how this is going to work. At best, it's Trevor Bauer, which I still don't think that's going to happen because I think people forget that Bauer deal. Franmil Reyes was a proven big league bat at that point in time. Yasiel Puig was a solid rental. Logan Allen was a top 100 prospect. Victor Nova was an interesting lotto pick. They got, I don't think you get net quite that much right now. He's going to, with every start that is his last one, and even though he's effective, striking out less than 4 every single time that happens, that's just bringing that value down to the point
because the nice thing in trades is in free agency, teams have gotten a little smart about this, unless you're handing out one of those 14-year contracts to superstars like Manny Machado and Fernando Tatis and all that stuff. That's a whole different category here, but they're not. The teams trading for Shane Bieber are not trading for him for what he did in 2022 or 2019. They are trading for him what they think he can do the rest of the year. And the only team, even now I wonder too, I was going to say, could they get the Clevenger deal for Shane Bieber? I don't think so either because the Padres overpaid in that deal, if you ask me.
They were desperate. They had a GM on the hot seat. And at the same time, Josh Naylor was a damaged prospect. Austin Hedges had very little value. They took a lot of guys. Joey Cantillo was not Joey Cantillo of now. Cal Quantrill was looking like he was going to go down to AAA. They took and if you can go back in history, the Cliff Lee deal, Carlos Carrasco value was down. Josh Donald value down. They love these guys who are down value prospects, getting a barrel of those. And we've talked about in the draft. They love those guys who had a better sophomore year than junior year. It's
guys they feel like they
low.
Can develop further. Yeah. They bought low on Cantillo, or they bought before he broke out.
Essentially Owen Miller was the only guy who might have been peaking. Maybe Gabby Arias, but it's hard.
maybe the Padres really didn't overpay. They didn't get. I mean, let's be honest. Owen Miller is not here anymore. I know he's sitting better in Milwaukee. I don't know how much.
Yeah, and Cal Quantrill is a solid like 3-4, like
4
but
or
at the
5.
same time 4-5. But I mean, he's pitched better in Clevenger. Like just there, it's a win for
He's
Cleveland.
been more durable than Clevenger, which isn't saying a whole lot.
I mean, but he's still been better. I mean, Clevenger's been in there. He hasn't been good. Like his durability, and his arm fell off. But like, I don't.
Is anybody like that's the thing too? Is none of these teams are going to be.
I mean, your desperate team is Miami, and Miami doesn't need pitching. Like that's the GM who's sitting on the hot seat.
And they're not. Are they even in the race right now? That division.
They were second in the. Yeah, they're second in the division. They're.
Oh yeah, because
they have a 556 winning percentage. I mean, Miami's in it, but Miami's looking to add a bat, not an arm. I mean, Alcantara has had his struggles, but Luzardo, who I wanted to trade for this offseason, he's been good. Cabrera's been good. Perez has been fantastic in his call-ups. Braxton Garrett's been solid. You know, they're still waiting on some other guys. But yeah, I mean, they've been fantastic. They don't need pitching. They don't need starting pitching. Bullpen, we can talk about that later. But yeah, I think we're getting more and more to the point where there's a good chance that Shane Bieber is not traded. That he could be the guy that you write it out. And this team does, you know, they set a value and they don't come off of it. And that came up in the Rosenthal piece. That's why Plesac eventually got DFA'd. That's why, you know, I can go back to Kelly Shopik when we all knew that year was an aberration and you're like, hey, let's trade him at peak. Just take what you can get because it's probably going to be bad the next year. They don't do that deal. They'll always roll the dice that a guy is going to recover than sell low or not, you know, to take a lesser. So I don't know. They will probably not come off their asking price. And I think more and more Shane Bieber is going to be here through the end of this year. I think it's at least 50-50 now, and I would not have said that before. Yeah,
performance has factored into it more than anything. Like if they get like regardless of their standings at this point, wherever they are on you know August 1st or whatever it is, or July 31st, whatever. I don't think their standings are going to impact what they do. And now if they go on a surge the rest of this month in July and they're like in first place for like 5 games, yeah, it's off the table. He won't be traded if they're like ahead a couple games or whatever. If they continue to sit where they are, the standings won't matter. They're in the race, but they're not going to sit here and hang on to Bieber if they get the offer they like, which, you know, like you said, 50-50 at best. And then you go into the offseason. It really depends on how he pitches the rest of the year, what they do in the offseason if they don't trade him during the season, because they're not going to sell lower. They're not going to sell low on him over the winter either if they can avoid it. But
and his value is just going to.
So we're going to have to go back and erase those episodes where we said Shane Bieber will be traded by January 2024. So
I mean, let's see. You know, 2 quick notes as we near the end of this. One, Justin Campbell recently posted on his Instagram a picture of himself, I believe, at the Cleveland Clinic with his arm all bandaged up. It is safe to say he had surgery. The specifics of it, I'm not going to be the person to guess at that or take anything that isn't official, but he is done for the year. And then Dylan DeLuca was announced he is also done for the year, right?
Yeah, on the transactions list on the MLB website, he was placed on the full season injured list. So,
yeah. So
you can safe to assume that both those guys likely will not pitch in 2022 or 2022.
Two of their top 5 round picks, college guys with some arm issues. DeLuca got really overworked in last year's college postseason. He was great in there, and that's the danger of that. But I want to thank you all for listening, rating, and reviewing, doing your part. Downloading it helps. Make sure you subscribe and follow on iTunes. I guess that's a new thing. Thank you for all you do, and go Guardians, go.